Welcome to your historical scene investigators that look a little different today. So we are so happy again once more to welcome back our very own Deputy Craig.
Hi guys, we're here to talk about uniforms this morning. Like I was telling you, the last lesson we kind of touched a little bit about the different types of uniforms. When the Civil War first broke out, when people think of the North and the South, they think the North is wearing blue and the South wearing gray. And that's typically the way it was as the war progressed on. But at the beginning of the war, there was, like I was telling you at the Battle of Bull Run, there were so many different types of uniforms. It was hard to identify who was your side or the other side. But typically, what Mrs. Spratt and Mrs. Wallace are wearing today are two different uniforms. One for the North, Mrs. Spratt is dressed up like a Union soldier, and Mrs. Wallace is dressed up as a Confederate soldier. So what I'm going to do is just kind of briefly go over some of the equipment on it. If Mrs. Spratt, if you can step up real quick, we'll do the Union uniform first. As you see on top of her head, soldiers didn't wear helmets like they do nowadays. They wore a hat called a kepi. It's kind of like a baseball cap. And it's more or less designed to keep sun out of your eyes. It did not stop bullets or anything or shrapnel from going and hurting your head or whatever. It's just more or less to protect you against the sun and the elements. And it's made out of wool. She's also wearing a what they call a shell jacket or roundabout jacket, and it's made of 100% wool. And on hot days, you can tell it's made out of 100% wool. It's very hot. Also, soldiers would be issued different equipment. Now, she don't have a weapon in her hand. We'll talk about weapons here in just a minute. But anyway, she's got her U.S. belt buckle on. She's got this leather pouch on her side, and that was an ammo pouch. And what that would do, that would hold all the soldiers' ammunition during the battle. And usually you put 30, 40 rounds in there. Like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about weapons here in a minute. And then on the other side, she's got her canteen and her handy dandy little tin cup. The tin cup was really handy. The soldiers used that to drink out of. They used it to cook out of. Sometimes they'd even use it to dig with, if that's all they had to dig with. I think
What was this about this buckle, though? That I thought was an interesting fact you were sharing with us earlier.
Oh, when Mrs. Spratt was putting her uniform on, she put her belt buckle on upside down. And I said, well, that represents a captured belt buckle. And that's what soldiers would do a lot of times out on the battlefield, especially Confederate soldiers, because they weren't very well equipped and didn't get issued a lot of proper equipment. So if they've seen some extra pair of shoes or they needed a belt buckle, they would take it off of a dead Union soldier. And when they put it on their uniform, they would turn it upside down, which represented that it was a captured belt buckle, that they weren't U.S. soldiers, but they were actually a Confederate soldier. And likewise for the Union, if you saw an upside down CS belt buckle, that means it was captured. And a lot of your belt buckles in certain regiments would have their own little state imprinted on it.
But what are these red things or stripes?
Well, you're wearing what they call an artillery jacket, and the different branches of the army was broke down into like the infantry, the cavalry, and the artillery. And to properly identify them, they would put red piping on your artillery jacket, which means you shot the big guns and stuff. If you were in the infantry, normally it was the blue piping. It would have been blue trim. And if you were in the cavalry, that would have been yellow. You would be a horse guy. Yeah. And she is wearing a cavalry kepi there because it's got the cross sabers. If she was an artillery, it would be two cross cannons. A lot of your infantry hats, especially in the Union Army, would have a big bugle on top of their hat. But yours also has the Company C, and it's got the numbers of the regiment that you belong to. Pretty neat hat.
Thank you. We have the South now.
All right, Mrs. Wallace is wearing a Confederate uniform, which is gray, and it's got the blue piping. You remember what the blue piping represents? represents the infantry. If she had red, she would more than likely be in an artillery unit. And if it was yellow, she would be one of the soldiers that would ride the horses. Just kind of a little tidbit. Next time you're watching a Civil War movie, you're wondering, well, why those guys got yellow or red or whatever. And that's why. It just identifies them with the unit they might be with. Now, Mrs. Wallace has a canteen and her handy dandy little tin cup, which we already talked about what that's for. But on the other side, she's wearing what they call a haversack. And a haversack is kind of like y'all's backpacks now. And you would carry all your personal belongings in it. And inside Mrs. Wallace's haversack, she's got a few little goodies in there. Right there's some Confederate money, which isn't worth nothing now. And she's got, that's called hardtack. Hardtack was things that were issued to the soldiers for them to eat. And that's probably, I guarantee you that hardtack's older than you guys right now. And it's hard as a rock. You can hit it on that table.
It's pretty hard.
And what a lot of the soldiers would do to soften that up, they would make a cup of coffee and then they would dip their hardtack down in there.
Kind of like I like to dip my donut in
Yep, or Oreos and milk. But another reason they would dip their hardtack into the hot coffee is to get all the weevils and the bugs that were inside it come out the surface and they clean it off and then they could eat it.
So they ate that as their food then?
Yeah, that and whatever they could find. Usually they would be issued hardtack, some salt pork, maybe an onion and each day, and maybe a little bit of rice and stuff, and they would pack it in their haversacks. Also, what you got there, Mrs. Wallace?
Some of you might be able to find some of these on your hikes.
Those are called Buckeyes. And some of your soldiers would pack them around for good luck. I used to pack one around in my pocket all the time, but there's also a wives' tale that says if you take that Buckeye, you don't break it open, you just take the Buckeye and you got a bad headache, you just rub it on your forehead, the headache's supposed to go away. That's never worked for me.
Really
I end up
cool.
having to
It's
go
worth
get
trying though if that
aspirin.
happens. See if you can find you some Buckeyes.
Absolutely. I had to get them at my dad's. I don't have any Buckeye trees on my farm, but
All right, thanks.
but anyway,
Well,
you're very welcome.
We'll be right back with some more. We have a new
Oh
guest.
yeah, well, I mean,
Oh, good day to you, Mr. Deputy Crane. I'm from the South. You like my dress?
I do.
Or I could be from Boston, couldn't I? Or I'm just from a girl from the South.
It could be either. That's a typical Civil War dress.
That's what I thought.
And it's kind of like a day dress. It's not really a ball gown. Now, a lot of the movies that you guys might watch, you'll see these young ladies coming out and they got the big hoops on and their ball gowns. But that was a typical dress because girls back then, they didn't wear jeans and shorts and tank tops and whatever you guys wear now. But that was kind of a typical dress of the ladies back in the 1800s.
So where would they hold this? What is this?
I don't know.
Would it be a purse, I
It's
guess?
a little purse.
Their little purse that they would keep their necessities in. A little shawl here.
Shawl, and it used to have a little bonnet that you could put on your head. I've lost the bonnet.
Yes, I do. Well, I thank you, Deputy Crane.
You're very welcome.
We are so grateful for you coming to talk to us today about the uniforms. We're going to take just a moment here. You be sure and come back, boys and girls, because we're going to learn about the weapons, what happened here in Lawrenceburg, and talk about camp life for the soldiers.
Okay, guys, so after you finished watching this video about Deputy Crane and he's taught us today about uniforms, you're going to work on your study guide. Now, some of you have the paper copy, but most of you probably don't if you're watching this online. What we're going to do is we're going to put a link to this, just like the paper copy, to where you can see it on your computer underneath this video. So you're going to pull it up, and then you'll just get a piece of paper, and you're going to write down the answers on that piece of paper. You do not have to send that to us. Okay, hold on to it until tomorrow. Okay, you want to talk about the study guide?
All right. So if you'll notice when you pull it out on the study guide, it's going to just be in bold print, like most common names, causes of the Civil War. Then of course you have a word box that has all the answers in it. And then of course there's going to be a blank line. We've done these all year long, so you know what to do. There are 36 questions and there are 36 words in the word box. So go through, and then at the very back and the last page, you will see again the advantages of the North, the advantages of the South, things that we want you to know. Why did the North win? Or why did the war last so long? Because they both had a lot of strong advantages. So make sure you review those as well. On that link, we're going to have some links like on Study Island. You can kind of take a pre-test
Those will
eventually.
be for Thursday.
Yeah.
Today's Monday, so your test is on Friday, okay? Tomorrow we're gonna have another video and we're gonna go over those answers, or well, we're not gonna go over the answers, we're gonna have an answer key for the study guide that you do today. So have it done so you can check your answers tomorrow. Wednesday, you're going to just review that study guide. There's another video that's gonna be that day. But then Wednesday, Thursday, we're gonna have links up like Ms. Pratt talked about for Study Island and other websites where you can just practice. And then Friday, your job is going to be to take your test. Now, we don't have like a way to get the 5 points extra credit or anything, but we're actually probably going to let you use your notes. We're going to want you to try to not use your notes, but it's going to be through Study Island, not on Google Forms, and you'll know your score as soon as you take it, but we want you to be prepared.
Absolutely. And when you're doing this, remember when you're doing your study guide, see what you know first. Try to answer the questions what you know without looking in your notes first. Kind of see, what do I already know? What do I remember? And what do I need to study a little bit? Because when you do this test on Study Island, you already have that in your memory and it won't take you near as long. But of course, we want you to learn it, not just memorize it for a test. We want you to learn it and be able to talk about those wonderful things you've learned about the Civil War, some really cool things that you've learned from Deputy Crane and throughout this unit. So I wish we could have been here, but we tried to make the best of the situation, what we are trying to do every single day.
These videos with Deputy Crane have been so cool.
Yeah.
We love it. If you have any questions, we're here. Let us know. Have a great day.